Okay, so this is project 2. Oh, and I'm recording this for external students as well, by the way. So introduction of project 2 for building. So yeah, much about this project would be familiar to you already. The thing that won't be familiar is this bit E, addition of a class 10 garage. So we're wanting to, or the client is now changing their mind and they're wanting to put a garage in here as well. Basically, the reason for that is that you got just for the unit for this subject, you're required to include a class 10 component in this one. So that's why we're doing it. But if we think about the project, the client would like to add a garage. There's not many locations in which we can go adding a garage. I'll just get the Revit plan up here. So this is our site. Now this is our site as presented to you guys. That's unmodified. It doesn't include anything that you guys have done on the site there. And so different students have done different things. Pretty much our only reasonable location for a garage will be down here. We're going to want to still maintain setbacks to the side there, and so we've got our 3 metre setback here, and that's suitable. So the only location I can really think of a reasonable location for a garage is in this section here, and we'd want to choose a fairly small garage. So I think let's think about a garage for the storage of a lawnmower and some other bits and bobs. Have a look around at your various different garages. You know, certainly ones you can buy off. You know, your Stratcos and things like that. Ones you can buy the kit for and build them. We're not going to be designing a small portal frame and doing all that associated infrastructure with that. So we're looking at a garage probably around 5 metres long by approximately 3 metres wide. That will enable us to fit that in here without obstructing too much. Different students have had different things going on here. So for some that'll fit in very easily. Some won't fit in as easily. But that 3 by 5 metres. But try not to make it encroach on our 3 metres here. So we have to include that class 10 component, and that's really as simple as that. However, as you would as you'd be aware, the National Construction Code is split into 2 separate sections. We've got class 1, what is it called? Volume 1 for class 2 filtered through to 9 buildings. This is a class 2 building, and so predominantly we're referring to volume 1 in the National Construction Code, but volume 2 deals with class 1 and class 10 buildings. Our garage is going to be a class 10 building, and so we'll need to be referring back to that. Now, for those of you who have been through that volume 2 of the National Construction Code, pouring through it step by step, you'd notice that by and large, like 90% or so, is dealing with class 1 buildings. It's about how to build residential buildings, and every now and again, the class 10 gets a look in. It says, for a class 10 building, you need this, etc. So the approach that's really required for that is that you have a look again at that volume 2 of the National Construction Code, see what aspects do relate to our class 10 building, and then see if any of those aspects are relevant to us here and what we're doing here and what we're going to have to do. I'll just go back to here. We've got which one have we got there? Oh yes. Also, yeah, while we're on it, so jumping around just a little bit, we've got our Volume 3 National Construction Code as well. Volume 3 relates to services. Also, what we're required to do in this is the plumbing section. We're not going to go into that just yet, but be aware that we have volume 1 for your class 2 to 9, volume 2 for your 1 and 10, and then volume 3 for services. So have a look at that at your leisure if you wish. But if we were to go here, open up volume 2 or do that nice and quickly. We can flick through, go, okay, let's have a look at footings and slabs. Have a look through, think, because we want to have a concrete slab under our garage. We don't really want a garage on the dirt. So there may be some aspects of footings and slabs that relate to a class 10 building. I think we're not going to. It's not going to be masonry. I don't expect anybody to be building a small masonry garage. It's not, it's typically not what's done on site. Roof and wall cladding may be important. Gutters and downpipes, etc. Some other things you might want to have a look at. There may be aspects in health and amenity that relate to your class 10 building. Have a look through here, etc. So we have to go through there. Then go back up to our NCC suite. Get that one happening. So you're using your approved model from planning approval, and I assume both of you passed both of you did pass planning approval, didn't you? You finished everything off, yeah, in regards to that, so there's nothing to worry about there. So develop models to meet requirements of natural ventilation and natural lighting. Is that something, I guess, at least probably for the external students, I have to go through this anyhow, but all of the external building students are the ones that have done this with you guys as well. Did you cover natural lighting and natural ventilation?
Yeah. Showed us how to work out and stuff.
Yeah.
Schedules. Yeah, with the windows and the doors.
Yeah, exactly. And you did that for commercial as well as residential? Did you?
I think we did it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, basically, it's the same. So,
Okay.
sorry to get you sweating bullets there. So we'll look at that just quickly. So that's in under health and amenity. We've got room heights are important, but we're not asked to detail and provide information in regards to room heights, etc. They're important. I suggest you get to know that section well. But light and ventilation. So just flicking through the performance requirements. Well, actually, I'll go down to deemed to satisfy provisions. So, what is it? try to find the juicy bits rather than read through everything. So, no, I might just go through it step by step. So, provision of natural light is substantially a health and amenity issue. It considers of particular importance in all living and sleeping areas in residential buildings occupied by people for an extended period of time. BCA consistently assumes that this is the case with Class 2 buildings and Class 4 parts, but not with Class 3 buildings. You don't need to worry about occupants of Class 3 and 9. It is considered desirable that school and preschool students are able to view. Oh, that's with our Class 9. So a window includes roof lights, glass louvers, and glazed doors. All windows, both required and non-required, must comply with various requirements of the BCA's fire safety provisions, such as C3.2 for openings in external walls, etc., and clause 3.6, so specification C1.1 for roof lights. We're not dealing with any roof lights on this one. However, for such as C3.2 for openings in external walls, that is going to be important to us because we're building within a metre of the boundary of, and so at the moment, I think at the back of that allotment there's tennis courts there or something, isn't there? I think, but we don't. The reason we have to, if our building is within that metre, we have to treat that as though we're building with another building there, another fire source there, because we don't know what's going to be built there in the future, and so we have to treat it as such. So it does not prohibit doors and windows closer to the boundary than 1 metre. However, if a window is located within these distances, does not allow it to be considered as providing required natural light. Actually, okay, yeah. So, that should comply with all openings. If 4.2b does not prohibit windows closer to the boundary than 1 metre, so you can have the windows within a metre. However, if a window is located within these distances, does not allow it to be considered as providing natural light to the subject room. It should be noted that F4.2b does not apply to Class 9C buildings, contains specific provisions for these buildings. So those windows we've got on the back of our building, we can't consider those to be providing natural light into the building because they're within that metre. So starts us to think about natural light borrowed from an adjoining room. So applies to room in a Class 2 building, etc. Did you cover natural light borrowed from an adjoining room with Merrin? Right. So with our natural light, just quickly, the way that it's calculated is that our window size has to equate to, or minimum size of that window has to be 10% of our floor area. So our floor area, and then it has to equate to that 10%. Our room B at the back can have some shared light from that window, but then that window has to equate for 10% of that whole room, So A equals our small a times B divided by 10. So equate for 10%. That. And then, so for room B equals A, so our small distance A multiplied by C divided by 10. So this window here, B, has to be equivalent to 10% of this floor area there. And then moving on to ventilation, it's very similar. Now I'm trying to find the important bit. So in a class 2 or class 3 or class 4, this requirement means that natural ventilation cannot be from another sole occupancy unit. So we're not allowed to cut holes into the neighbour's unit and get ventilation from them. We have to get it from our own. Allows a window, an opening in a door or light to be used to borrow ventilation air from adjoining room. The minimum area required for ventilation in residential buildings is illustrated in figure 4.7. So in our last one with the lighting, it was A times B divided by 10, and in room B, A times C divided by 10. In this one, divided by 20. So exactly the same as in your residential, your volume 2 National Construction Code. Your ventilation has to equate for 5% of your floor area. So if we have a window in room 1, which is a horizontal slider, and half of that can be opened up, then when we get back to room 2 here, then the size of that window, if our next window along is 10% of our floor area and half of it can be opened, well, then it meets those ventilation requirements. Does that make sense? So yeah. So exactly. So think about the 10% and then halve that for ventilation requirements. So you've got to specify materials. So those materials, part of the specification of the materials is going to be around fire safety, and there are, I'll say, considerations that arise from the number of exits that you've got in your buildings. I think both of you specified 2 exits. You would have specified 2 exits to your building, so that makes it really simple. It is actually possible. It's not the easiest path, but it is actually possible to provide only 1 exit.
I was gonna do that, but Mary told me not to do it.
Yeah.
I was gonna do it because I think I read it from the NCC, I think, somewhere there.
Yeah.
She said, and then she showed me this. Apparently, it's longer than 30 meters.
Yeah. So with that, with our building, you've got to so a building here and our top floor here, and let's say our stairs come out down at the ground level here. I'll just draw a quick floor plan for that as well. We've got our units in here like this, that, and staircase on this side. Let's put a staircase on that side as well. So for these people here, it has to be maximum 20 metres from this point to go along the balcony, down the stairs, and to exit the building. So you're allowed a maximum of 20 metres. Now the thing is, you can design. So that's I assume that's the thing that Maren showed you about that. What you can actually do with the building is, let's say we knock our wall down here. That one's the disabled oh hang on, was it the other way? I can't remember exactly how it can be done now, but you can have, let's say we have our door for this one opening to here, you can just squeeze that one in. And if you're popping out here, you can just squeeze that one in under the 20 metres, so you satisfy that rule. Where it gets a little bit, tricky, and I'm not sure exactly. I prepare for that straight away in the National Construction Code. Can't think of which portion it is, but if you've chosen to provide only two, oh that's right, it's in C1.1. So I'll go to C1.1 for that. So section C1.1, fire resisting construction. C1.1. Yeah. I'll find it in a minute. But basically the crux of what I was wanting to get to is that if you've got a class 2 building and you provided 2 exits, it enables you to do type C construction. Whereas if you've only provided the 1 exit to a class 2 building, then it has to be type B construction. So that type, and you're familiar with the type A, type B and type C construction? That's okay. That's how, yeah, so that's how
class, that's it.
What's that?
Class A, class, that's what I know.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Oh, so you've got your various different building classifications, and then within your building classifications, you have various different uses and various different setups for buildings that will say, if you're doing this thing within this particular building, you need to have type B construction. Type B construction will be your separating walls have to be fire rated to 180 units or something like that. Whereas in type C, it says, okay, type C construction, that only has to be fire rated to 90 minutes or so. So that's the main difference between those types of construction is the fire rating. So it's not a hugely onerous thing, but I'll just quickly find out where that is mentioned here. Provision for escape. Within here, we've got a so I know it says 1 metre in here somewhere. Yeah, so dimensions of exits and paths of travel to exit. So in a required exit or path of travel to an exit. So unobstructed height of 2 metres. Unobstructed width of each exit or path of travel to an exit, except for doorways, must not be less than 1 metre. Or 1.8 metres in a passageway corridor around normally used for the transportation of patients, which we're not. So it can be no less than 1 metre. So that's it. So if you've got any handrails and so on in your stair, then you have to increase the width of that handrail to include that metre. So that's in your provision for escape. So cross-section of lift with compliant aspects to be clearly portrayed and supported by specific clauses from National Construction Code regarding lift type, width and height, lift clearance, button heights, door widths, and access. So you need to work through that. But you've got all of your lift details, and using the ones from Learn. And then plumbing passing to ground level. So cross section of a building showing passage of pipes from wet area to ground level. Show on ground floor plan where vertical pipe work is to be located in the garage. So this is what we'll cover on the first week coming back. Do a window schedule, natural lighting plan, any additional requirements set out by council.